Okay, I'm back again. So it's a pleasure to be the keynote speaker right after Xu Zhuren. So my topic today is manufacturing, but I'm actually talking about, I think we are talking about return to manufacturing. And I'm going to explain why I'm saying that we are returning to manufacturing. But it's not just a simple manufacturing, and I'm talking about advanced manufacturing. So before I dive into my topic, though, I would like to, because some of the attendees are first time attending the Innovation China conference. So I just want to spend a few words to talk about the previous two Innovation China events and give a history. So the first event we co-organized with the UCLA Anderson Business School, and the topic was innovation and entrepreneurship. So it's when we had speakers from around the world to share what's the entrepreneurship in China versus what's the entrepreneurship in US. And the second Innovation China conference we organized in 2015. And we were honored to have a speaker from NDRC who came here to talk about the 40 billion RMB venture capital guidance fund of China. We had Professor Josh Lerner from Harvard Business School sharing his view on venturing and corporate venturing. And it's at this conference we actually established the Shanghai Strategic Emerging Industries Foundation. So the media interview of the event, what did the media talk about? It's really talking about the role of strategic capital and the opportunity for China in hard technology. So hard technology, including materials, advanced manufacturing, and so on. So coming to today, it's the biggest conference. So from the 320 people who signed up, we have a real good balance of multinational companies, startup companies, investment companies, public companies, professional services, and so on. So it's a really good group of attendees coming to talk about what? So why are we focusing on manufacturing, and why now? So people who have attended my previous talk at the conference before know that I always like to quote a book, or the most well-talked about book of the year. So this chart shows the GDP per capita, which is equivalent to productivity. And this is the US productivity. And the chart shows the rise and fall of US productivity, which actually shows that after 1970, its productivity went down. And the reason for that, why is that, is the topic of this 700-page long book, which is a very popular, very hot book today in the US, by Mr. Gordon, Robert Gordon, The Rise and Fall of American Growth. His central argument is that the US became an unsustainable service sector-based economy from the 1970s onward, when service sector employment diverged from manufacturing without a corresponding boost in productivity. So it's really thought-provoking, because if you look at the US workers, they are working harder than ever and working more efficiently with IT tools than ever. So this chart shows how many hours the US workers spend on their computers and mobile platform. So the question is, if the people are working harder than ever, if they have better tools than ever, if we are all having iPhones and mobile platform, why isn't the productivity rising? So his book talks about the role of manufacturing and why we need to go back to manufacturing. And I think that's probably one of the reasons US is saying now return to America manufacturing promoted by President Obama. So if you look at the GDP per China, which is also the China productivity growth, we are doing better than the US, but we are also going down in the recent years. So it has the question, when we talk about Internet Plus, when we talk about the role of services, it of course has a very important role, but we need to think ahead how much importance we need to pay to manufacturing so we don't go in the same route as the same problem and issues that the US economy is facing today. So that's why I'm talking about manufacturing. I think why we need to return to manufacturing, and manufacturing is a good topic for today. So China Manufacturing 2025, I think Xu Zhuren gave a fantastic speech already about China Manufacturing 2025 initiative. So she talked about the 5 directives, which I quickly go through again here, including making innovation center, which the US government is also doing, building the innovation center for manufacturing. It talks about intelligent manufacturing, improve industrial infrastructure, green manufacturing, high-end equipment manufacturing. We also, in the government document about China Manufacturing 2025, it also mentions many technology pillars. So what are those? Big data through industry value chain. So how do you use the big data to unite and to make the whole industry value chain more efficient? It talks about corporate IT system and the role of the cloud computing. It talks about more market-oriented design, which I think is interesting because probably most US companies, manufacturing companies, they start with the market design in the first place. But the Chinese manufacturers are used to just take the order and start manufacturing without customer focus. So one of the drive for China Manufacturing 2025 is to make more market-oriented design. Social platform for communication, which is very interesting. I noticed how WeChat is a really working tool here in China. So it's a discussion about how social platform makes work productivity goes up. It talks about customized production via 3D printing, also robots for high efficiency production, and IT promoting cross-industry collaboration and a new business model. So all these are, some of them are the same as what's going on in the US. Some of them are a little bit different. But they are all very macro, I would say. Very macroscopically talking about the opportunity for China manufacturing. So when we, as a venture capital company, we think about manufacturing, we need to come down to more micro to see where can we invest, right? So I thought, well, our team thought, I think we are going to focus on 3 general ideas. So the idea, I think, the first one, I think, for China is really the opportunity for leapfrogging and a new standard. So if we look at the industry at 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, when the 3.0 is about computer and automation, and 4.0 is about cyber-physical system, the West, US, and Europe are mostly focused on Industry 4.0. So my colleague Karen invests a lot in IoT, 3D printing, enterprise software, and so on. But I think in China, a lot of the industries, traditional industries, are still at the 2.0 to 3.0 stage. So there are opportunities in the Industry 3.0, which represents by digitization, robotics, logistics, etc. So I think as a VC firm in China, we are agnostic to say, is this 3.0 or 4.0? We're really looking at the transformation of the traditional industry, the opportunity for leapfrogging of some of the industry from 2.0 to 4.0. So I'm going to give an example of one of our portfolio companies, Simple, is in the industrial gas cylinder tracking. I don't want to talk about the industrial gas cylinder industry, but if anybody is interested in it, it's really about a bunch of very heavy gas cylinders going around the world. And so you have a lot of issues, safety regulation, the market need, the production management, the asset management. And it's worldwide. If you look at this very large industry, it's actually very hard to digitize because each cylinder needs to be tracked. Each cylinder needs to be marked and so on. So it's a global problem how to make that industry more efficient. So our portfolio company built a smart tracking total solution based on UHF RFID, and there was so much demand in China by the gas industries that it's unbelievable. And it's the first time in the world that we actually achieve autonomous tracking of these heavy industrial gas cylinders so that the workers don't have to go and look at the number on each cylinder, write them down each step of the way, and create a ton of paperwork. So then the second opportunity I'm talking about is I think there's opportunity for consolidation and growth. And that is in many, many, many industries. So let me take the industrial gas market for another second. There are 14,000 industrial gas companies in China. It's unbelievable. In the US, you have 3 major gas companies, and that's finished. It takes 80% of the market. In China, you have 14,000 of them, and they only manage 140 million cylinders. So that's like 10,000 cylinders per gas company. That is totally recipe for disaster of efficiency. You can imagine how inefficient these companies can be. And these companies are all, the founders are 50 years old. Their daughters and sons, they don't want to be pushing along industrial gas cylinders. They have no interest in the business. So this industry, just like many, many other industries in China, will go through consolidation and growth. There will emerge industry leaders who can operate more efficiently, who can use the modern tool of advanced manufacturing to consolidate the industry. And I think that's a very unique opportunity for China to combine venture capital and growth capital. Then the third area are the new technology areas, opportunities for new materials and technologies. And here, there's so many of the materials categories and so on, so I don't want to go in details. But what I want to say is, as a CM, we look at the material map, and we can find innovative companies in virtually all the categories of these new materials, going from semiconductor to display, to environment, to energy storage, to manufacturing, construction, new and emerging materials. So we heard a lot about 3D printing, about graphene, about in this trip already. And there are truly areas China leads the world in terms of materials research. I also want to show a chart that my team put together about notable robotics companies. We have studied over 50 plus. And I don't know how many robotics companies are in China, but just the sheer number of the startup robotics company in China is staggering compared to the US. So I come back to summarize. I think besides investing in new materials and in new manufacturing technology, there are unique opportunities for China venture capital to invest in this leapfrogging of the setting new standard for advanced manufacturing, and look at how are we going to transit and consolidate our traditional manufacturing businesses to build a few industry leaders. And so that's what China Material Fund 2 is going to do, and that's what we want to invest in. So advertisement here for China Material, with the backing of GE, Samsung, SABIC, and world-class companies here. What we want is to find innovative startup companies in materials, in advanced manufacturing, in medical device equipment, in environment protection and energy efficiency. And we want to help these companies to become a global company, and by leveraging and working together with our limited partners. So if you have any business plans or any startup ideas, and we together with our GE, Samsung, SABIC, etc., are going to have a reception at the end of the conference at 5:30 to talk to you, to talk to the entrepreneurs. So that's my talk. And I see I actually finished early, which is amazing. I have 5 minutes. So anybody who has a question, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I will turn to the next speaker. Is there anybody going to ask a question? It's not very usual for the Chinese conferences to have Q&A. Karen, you have to ask a question to start. Okay, am I?
Yeah, of the areas that you're focused on, which one do you think Shanghai is most uniquely qualified to seize upon?
My goodness, that's like you, when I ask you to ask a question, you right away ask me a hard question to put me on the spot in front of Shanghai officials. So the question is, what do I think Shanghai is uniquely positioned to do in this advanced manufacturing? So let me think. I think certainly there are several areas that I think Shanghai is very well equipped. So, for example, Shanghai is the leading center for semiconductor, where the government put a lot of money into building up the fab and the IC industry. So semiconductor materials and equipment is an opportunity. And Shanghai is also the location for China's aviation. I think the big airplane manufacturing is here. So aviation materials and equipment is also concentration here. And yesterday we heard about Shanghai's graphene park, the graphene application park. And so that's graphene is a good area. And then we have the medical devices, and there's a big biotech focus in the Pudong area, and then a lot of healthcare companies. So I think sounds like to me Shanghai is good for majority of what we cover. So, yeah, thank you.